Good morning, it's Anand here from Osho, Ireland, and today I'm going to be sharing the 51st technique from the Osho Book of Secrets. And the instructions in this is, on joyously seeing a long absent friend, permeate this joy. And I decided to do it outside here in my garden. My garden brings joy. I feel joy when I'm in my garden. But interestingly enough, Osho talks about that the joy is within us, not the object that we're centered on. So I'm just going to read a little more on what he says about this technique that you can use at any time. He says, enter this joy and become one with it. Any joy, any happiness. You can use the example of an absent friend, or being in your garden, or whatever. And then he goes on to say, when you see a friend and suddenly feel a joy arising in your heart, concentrate on this joy. Feel it and become it. And meet the friend while being aware and filled with your joy. Let the friend be just on the periphery. You remain centered in this feeling of happiness. What Osho says is that normally when we meet a friend or when we experience a situation that joy arises, we become involved in that situation. We become focused on that. And we lose the joy, or we lose the happiness or the bliss because we're involved. But when a feeling arises of joy, or any emotion, he says this can happen with anger, happiness, sadness, and so forth. When you're really with it in its totality, one of two things will happen depending on the emotion. If you feel anger or sadness, when you really bring your attention to it, your awareness to it, and you feel it in its totality, and I actually used this during the week, this experience, it disappears. The situation that I had this week is that I felt somebody had challenged something in the workplace, said something, and I felt this intense anger, this intense feeling of wanting to defend and fight for my piece of work that I did. But what I did instead was really witness the anger and feel it, and I felt physical nausea and I could feel it rising, and I didn't throw it on the other person. I just was very centered in it. And within a few minutes it dissipated, and I was actually able to handle the situation with the person much better. It could have gone really badly actually if I had have acted out on the anger. And this technique it's about joy, but it can be with any emotion. And Osho says that where there's a positive feeling, happiness, joy, it expands and enhances. And where it's a more negative feeling, it disappears. So before we do this technique together, I'm just going to share one thing that Osho says that I thought was really profound. So to me, this is the criterion. If something is deepened by your awareness, it is something good. If something is dissolved through awareness, it is something bad. That which cannot remain in awareness is sin. And when he uses the word sin, it's not the Christian version of sin, it's missing the mark. That's the original meaning of the word sin. And that which grows in awareness is virtue. Virtue and sin are not social concepts, they are inner realizations. So what I'd like to do together is close your eyes, or if you're in a situation where joy is arising within you, we'll just sit with this feeling of a joy, of happiness, of bliss, whichever feels right for you. And we'll do this for about 5 or 10 minutes, depending, see how we go. And the meditation will end, or the technique will end, when I ring 3 bells. So let's just sit together, focusing on joy or happiness or bliss. And you can use a memory or maybe a situation you're in right now. Thank you for sharing with me today. And I look forward to seeing you next Sunday at 11 a.m. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.